Hi, this is Matt again from Modern Samurai Martial Arts. What we're going to look at today is a question that's come up a few times recently regarding using your keys as self-defense. Now, I was teaching in a school the other day and a female teacher said to me that she quite often walks home with her keys in her hand as a form of self-defense, to use as a weapon basically, in case something happened. Now, that's not the first time that I've heard that recently, and I even had an online discussion with another instructor who was advocating the same kind of thing. Now, I'm not suggesting that it's completely wrong or completely right, because again, nobody has all the answers, but I just want to offer my sort of opinion on this. Now, first and foremost is that if you're looking at your keys, now, we'll just use my keys as an example. Now, on those keys, what I'm going to have is, I'm usually the same as most people, is I'm going to have the ability to access things that are important to me. So, you know, your car keys, your house keys, things like that. So if you think about your ability to escape the situation, if your mode of transport is attached to this key ring, then we have to be careful. If we're talking about, you know, running to safety, and we're talking about accessing a property or a building where we can lock the doors, again, if those keys are on that keychain, we have to be very cautious of how we use that, because if those are my options, if those are my escape routes, if those are the things for my safety, and I utilise them in a situation, now, if I damage them, or even worse, the aggressor manages to take those from me, or I lose them in the scuffle, any or either of those things are a really bad thing. So ideally, you know, I would recommend not actually utilising keys in the first place. And then when you start talking about people that say things about Coupetons, now for those who don't know what they are, it's a small metal tube that you, roughly about 6 inches long, that you put on your key ring. Quite a lot of people carry them. Most people haven't got a clue what to do with them. But the ones who do, the people that carry them, they are an offensive weapon. They are registered as such. And with the new laws coming into force very soon, it's also going to be illegal to own one. So not just to carry one in a public space, but to own one full stop. So don't say you haven't been warned on that. So for all those people that think that they can get away with having a Coupeton on their keychain, that's going to get quite difficult, quite complicated. And the reason you've got away with it before is because, generally speaking, I suggest is you've never really had to use it and been scrutinised by the laws. So Coupeton's not a good idea. Okay, so if we're looking at keys, we've got to bear in mind that, yeah, if we lose them, if we damage them, if the aggressor takes them, then we're actually going to be in a worse position than we were before. But if you're going to use them, then let's look at a couple of ways to do so. All right, now the first thing that we're going to look at is a lot of people suggest placing the keys in between your fingers, like so. All right, so what you're doing is you're making essentially a sort of pointy, spiky, striking kind of tool. Now, yeah, that you can sort of utilise that kind of thing to a degree, with a degree of success. The problem with that is that, again, generally speaking, under impact, they are actually going to push back into your hand, all right? And they can actually impact and injure your hand as well. If you're hitting that hard, it's worth bearing that in mind, all right? So when you've got your keys in like this around your fingers and you're striking, you've got to bear in mind that you can injure yourself in the same instance, okay? So yes, you know, obviously it's not going to be comfortable for the guy you're doing that to if you land it, but if you land it with any force, it's also not going to be comfortable for you, and the keys are more than likely going to collapse in your hand, all right? So one of the ways to look at this is actually using a single key. And so what I'm actually going to do is take the rest of the keys in my hand, and I'm going to place the key on my finger like this, and then I'm going to lock it with my thumb here. Now, rather than having several keys now, what I've got is quite a solid grip on one key. Now, that one key now can be a very solid strike, and I can control that and control the impact. As I stick that in, I can hold that, so it's not going to be digging back into me. All right, so I can do that with just the one key, which is, to my mind, a better option. All right? And then also, you can use them literally as like a mini flail. So, again, if somebody's a really determined aggressor, it's not entirely going to work that well. But from here, look, what I can do is literally just use it and flail across the person as a quick escape route, as a quick way to, you know, to to cause them to flinch, to give you a minute's escape, then we could look at it like that. So we could use it in that kind of manner, or we can use it as we already described there, which is just basically taking one single key and using it like this. So this is what I would recommend out of the options, but preferably I would suggest not bringing out the things that you require like that anyway. I mean, worst case scenario, if you really are insistent on having keys as a make-do weapon, then I would actually recommend having two separate sets. So I'd have a set of old keys that really doesn't matter if they get damaged or broken, just have a couple of those on a chain, and then obviously the important keys, they would be on a different keychain. So that would be my recommendation. I hope you found that useful. So if you're interested in any more of what we do, then obviously please subscribe, click the link, and also check out the online site. Thank you.